and I'm excited to share some stress relief options, some ways to help your life feel more at ease, feel like you are able to manage your life, and not, if this might be something that you feel guilty about or that drains you, that leaves you feeling tired, that you don't even realize you're doing maybe. And I thought it was a good one to do on a Friday, with the weekend approaching, with summer approaching, and things kind of tend to quieten down in August. But does your life quieten down in August? I know it tends to happen more and more in the UK, a lot more in Europe, and I think the US are starting to kind of take on board around sort of August and the summer period, just being a little bit quieter. And it's our chance to rest and rejuvenate. But what it's reminded me of, and something that maybe we can make use of specifically around this time, because it might be easier to do it, especially if we're not used to starting this, is starting to say no, and or saying more of it, and just listening to ourselves and understanding what we need. And there's a question that I think we can ask ourselves. Certainly I can, because I've done a fair amount of work on learning how to say no to things. I could never say no to anything, whether it was another list of, something to add to my to-do list at work, something for somebody else, for a friend, for a family member. I used to give up. I would take a day off leave, and then somebody would say, oh, I need a lift going here to do this, to go to the dentist or something, and I would just do that instead rather than taking time off. Or I would feel guilty if I didn't. And it's taken me a good year and a half, maybe, around that time, to really kind of get to grips with my boundaries, being able to say yes and say no when I want to. So being able to say yes to the things I want to do, really want to do, if they're for myself as well, especially, and around that self-care and self-love, and being able to say no if it doesn't feel right for me. So even though I've been practicing that for a while, and it's never, I wouldn't say it really gets any easier, but it does start to become more of a habit, I still fall into that trap, especially when I feel more energetic and someone says, yeah, do you want to meet up on so-and-so date? And then I say yes and yes and yes, and then I've found that in a week or 2 weeks time, my diary is full, and I've realized that. And actually, I've been quite tired recently. I've been needing a fair amount of rest, and I've realized that I have to actually go back and say no to some of those things. So even the things I've said yes to already, I will go back and say no to, and some of them I have said already, or some of them I've put caveats in and said, actually, I've overcommitted. Can we move it to this date if it comes to that point where I need to say no on that day? And it has taken me a long time to get there. I can still fall into that trap, but I am now willing to say, okay, I made a mistake here. I can't make it. I'm really sorry. And I'm not a bad person for it, and I don't like messing people around, but I know that I'm not going to be my best self with those people that I want to say yes to if I've overcommitted to them and all I want to do is actually be at home or take some rest. So I actually read something today as well that I've been using, and I think you might like this. I've been using a new app called Shine. This is where using our phones are so useful for us. It's an app called Shine, and it's absolutely brilliant. It just reminds you to check in every day with what you're grateful for, but it gives you loads of, if you're like me, I like to read about this stuff. I like to find out more, to a certain level, because if I don't share it, then I become full up in the head. So I've learned how to pace myself with my learning. And today, and it gives you articles and things, and like little tips and tricks and reminders. And so, if you're new to kind of giving yourself more space, giving yourself more love, giving yourself more stress relief, then that app's pretty cool. It's free. You can pay for things if you want to do certain meditations and things like that, but it's just a really nice and a really cool way. Even the setup process was actually really fun, and they're just like little text messages, but they come through the app. So try it out. Anyway, I saw on there today that I was thinking about this yes no thing anyway. It's been on my mind, and there was an article on there saying, you can ask this basic question: do I have to? And going back to your 4-year-old self that used to say, do I have to? But not in that whingy moany way, but asking yourself that real question: do I have to do this? And if you feel guilty, and it comes up again and again and again, if you feel guilty for saying no, if you feel like you can't say no, if you feel like it's your responsibility to say yes to certain things when you know you end up feeling tired or resentful when other people don't do it for you, or when you find yourself you're the only one doing these things. You're the only one left late at night in the office. You're the only one who still gets up early in the morning to do everything for everybody else, and you don't seem to see other people doing that around you, or you expect others to do that for you in return. Then, start with that question. Do I have to do this? And you might be surprised, the more you ask yourself that question, you might start coming up with other answers. So then, if you're like, okay, no, I don't have to do this, or no, I actually don't want to do this, I don't want to go out with that many people right now. If you're finding it hard to say no, maybe do some journaling around that. And the Cambridge University did a study recently, published a study recently back in January about journaling and about the power of writing about your trauma or about your feelings or about your emotions. And I've always said this, so many people have said it, Brené Brown says it, I'm not saying that I'm in that category, but I believe it, is what I'm saying. I believe in the power of writing how you feel, getting it out of your system. It's very cathartic, and then letting it go. And the things that you realize when you put something on paper are not the same things that you think you're sorting out in your head. And what the study said was that people for writing between, I think it was 3 and 5 minutes around your issues, or it could have been 3 and 15 minutes, I can't remember the data, those people had better physical and psychological outcomes from their lives when they do that writing. So don't underestimate the power of just writing. And like I said, very short, why am I feeling guilty here? Or what might I need to get out from this? Especially around this yes-no thing. It's a really great way to start that. And then it could be deeper stuff, and maybe you can ask somebody else for help. There's loads of books out there. There's loads of people out there who can help you with maybe enforcing your boundaries, maybe where you can't say no, where you can't say yes. I've done a lot of work on it. My clients have done a lot of work on it. I have got some great resources. If you do want to know, you can message me. But you can do this. You can say no. You can have a lighter summer. You can feel less drained. You can feel more relief without feeling guilt. I promise you that's there. So if you want to put that work in, then there's some tips there for you. There's some options there for you. And as always, all my video content is available on my YouTube channel, Amarjot at Amaru. And my freebies and my other courses and bits and pieces like that are over on my courses and training page on my amaru.com website. I will see you soon. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.